Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk, this Wednesday edition, first broadcast of 2013. Great to be back with you. I just enjoy this so much, chatting with you, having you in the conversation. I've missed our conversations over the last couple of weeks. It is great to be back in the saddle. Now, 888-589-8840, a couple of quick sound bites before I go back to the phones. Let's grab Rand Paul. Rand Paul talking here about what this is really about. Now, what you're going to hear is Obama and the Democrats talking about this is good for the economy. We just want people to pay their fair share. This is about jobs. This is about stimulating the economy. This is about making investments in our children and education and infrastructure. But Rand Paul says, look, this is what this whole thing is really all about.
Do you want a government that just is envious and jealous and wants to punish people? Or do you want a government that has sane and rational policies that allow the economy to grow? That's what happened in the 1980s. We had 7% growth one year. We had millions of jobs created. Mark my words, you will raise tax rates and you'll feel good because you went after and you got those rich people because you said you were, you campaigned against rich people, and you got enough envy whipped up in the country, and you're going to get them, you're going to stick it to those rich people. But guess what? You may not get any more revenue, you may not get any more economic growth, but you can say, I stuck it to the rich people.
So that's Rand Paul. He's saying, look, that's what this whole thing about. The whole thing is about. It's about class warfare. It is about envy. It is about jealousy. It is about resentment. It is about this seething rage against people of success and a desire to pull them down, knock them off their perches. It's an ugly thing, ladies and gentlemen. This soak the rich mentality is ugly. It is not the spirit of Christ. Remember what we are taught in the 10th commandment. We just read from the beginning of the program. Jesus said, look, these standards are going to last until the end of time. So when God says you shall not covet anything that belongs to your neighbor, he meant it. And Jesus says that standard is going to be in force until the end of time. And here you have an entire political party, one of our two major political parties, and the President of the United States is motivated by this seething envy, this seething jealousy, this angry resentment, this ugly, dark, satanic determination to punish people who have been successful. And that's what Rand Paul says. Hey, they don't even really care whether this works or not because it doesn't. We know from history and economics 101, this does not work. It'll have exactly the opposite effect. Take more money from the job producers. It depresses the economy. Fewer jobs. It's a no-brainer. First grader can figure that out. But that doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter to those on the left whether their policies actually work. All they care about is sticking it to the man, sticking it to rich people. And Rand Paul says, well, they'll at least have the satisfaction of doing that. And what's disgraceful is having Republicans that partner with them like John Boehner in violating the 10th commandment. This whole thing, ladies and gentlemen, that whole bill, that entire bill was a transgression of the 10th commandment of a holy God. You shall not covet anything that belongs to your neighbor. And that whole bill was predicated on coveting the resources of upper income earners in America, and we're going to take it from them by government force under threat of incarceration. Ladies and gentlemen, that is ugly to me. It is ugly, it is dark, it is vicious, and it is demonic. That is not the spirit of Christ at work. Well, let's go back to our phones. Let's go to Hubert in Ada, Oklahoma. Hubert, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. I just wanted to say, I think Boehner needs to just change it. I mean, he's a Democrat.
Think got to change parties?
Yes. I mean, because he's done the same thing the last time they voted to raise the debt ceiling. He just, every time he acts like he's going to put up a fight and then just stops.
Yeah. You know, I got a story in here about Pat Toomey. He's a senator that voted for this thing. He voted for this increase in taxes. He voted for this increase in the national debt. And he says, well, now when it comes to the debt ceiling, we got to have a showdown there. We got to be prepared to shut government down if we can't get what we want. Well, Pat, here was your chance. I mean, the government could be shut down today if those guys had done the right thing. So what makes us think, Senator Toomey, that you're going to show any more courage when we get to the debt ceiling than you showed on this bill?
Yeah, they're all just lying about it. I really believe that they're really trying to break America.
Yeah. Well, and it right now looks like it might be working. All right, Hubert, listen, I appreciate the call. And Peter King is all upset because Speaker Boehner didn't bring up the Sandy relief bill, and he's threatening to change parties. But I want you to think about that for a minute, because Chris Christie's upset. He's a Republican. Peter King is upset. He's a Republican. Why are they're thinking just like liberals? They're thinking just like Democrats. This shows you how much remedial work we have to do in the conservative movement. Peter King in general is a conservative guy, has been really good on the whole issue of Islam. But what is their first reaction when they get in trouble? To look to Washington, D.C., to demand that Washington, D.C. do something about it, to demand that Washington, D.C. take money from taxpayers that maybe have never even been to New York and take that money out of their wallets and then give it to them for relief. Now, nobody's saying that the people of New York and the victims of Sandy don't need relief. Nobody's saying that. I'm not saying that. They deserve relief. They deserve compassion. They deserve help. But that's what charities are there for, and that's what homeowners insurance is there for. That's what those things are there for. And charities have responded. Churches in the Staten Island area, they showed up right away with food. They showed up with blankets. They showed up with provisions. They showed up with the effort to help them find housing. Private charities showed up. They did their thing. And yet the first response of a Chris Christie, who's a Republican, supposed to be a conservative, Peter King, is they're demanding that Washington, D.C. do something for them. Take money from taxpayers and give it to them. This is exactly what liberals do. This is the way they think. All right, let's go to Bill in North Arkansas. Bill, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Thank you for taking my call, Brian. I'd like to say, first of all, how proud I am to be an American and a Christian and to have people like you supporting our beliefs.
Well, thank you, Bill. Thank you.
We need more than ever right now. On the subject of Mr. Boehner, I've not been a fan of his for a long time. He's done a lot of things that slowly turned me against him. I used to really like him. But I think what he has just done with this has thrown the ball in the liberals' court now, to where however things go, and we know the economy, there's no doubt it's going to get worse progressively. It's going to be, the blame's going to be able to be laid on the Republicans when it does, and that's going to be the thing. The conservatives will wind up being the ones taking the blame for this.
Well, and that's the interesting thing, Bill. This is what is just so aggravating about all of this. I mean, there's the abandonment of principle, which is the main thing that aggravates me. But from a political standpoint, this is stupid, because they're not getting any credit for this. Nobody's out there. Well, you got one Democrat. We'll play that soundbite next hour. One Democrat praising Boehner for having the courage to bring this up. So the only praise that Boehner's getting is from Democrats that wanted him to go on this suicidal mission. Who's everybody else praising? They are praising Barack Obama. They are praising the White House. This is a win for the Democrats. This is a win for the White House. This is a win for Barack Obama. So they get absolutely no credit for caving. I mean, it does them absolutely no good for their image or their PR or whatever they're hoping to get out of this. I mean, just politically, it's completely counterproductive for them. So you just got to wonder, why in the world would they do it? There's no political upside for them. They're going to get drilled. And like you say, Bill, they're going to get blamed because President Obama, we'll play this soundbite next hour, President Obama, right after the vote, he's out there talking about, we got to take more money from the rich. We got to take more money from corporations. They haven't even started to raise taxes on productive Americans. All right, Bill, listen, I appreciate the call. Thank you for that. Last call of the hour. Let's go to Jerry, Brooksville, Missouri. Jerry, you are on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi. Say you can stick a fork in Paul Ryan. He has no credibility now. He has not proven. He has documented now that he is a wolf in sheep's clothing. No wonder why the good Lord allowed this to go the way it went, because the good Lord, he's all-knowing. He knew that the guy was a phony. He was a fake. He's like Bill Clinton. Stick your finger up in the wind, see which way the wind's blowing. Okay, that's the way we go. I mean, this guy, nobody is going to trust him to do what he said the whole time listening to the campaign. What was he talking about? Oh, we got to cut spending. Well, then stand to it. Thank you.
All right, I appreciate the call, Jerry. Thank you for that. And Jerry is just exactly right. I mean, there's probably some upside to this that Paul Ryan has been, I don't know if exposed is the right word, but now we know that he's willing to vote for a $620 billion tax increase and a $3.9 trillion hike in the national debt, and for a bill that doesn't include any spending cuts. Well, if they do, it's a 1 to 41 trade-off, $1 in cuts for $41 in tax increases. And so, maybe Paul Ryan has just taken himself out of the running. So the field is already beginning to narrow for 2016. And, we're starting to get down to the Rand Paul types. And I've got some issues with Rand Paul. I may have some issues on immigration with Marco Rubio, but at least he's standing tall on this issue. You got Governor Perry down there in Texas. He's the only one that's talking about taking a wrecking ball to Washington, D.C. Newt Gingrich, I think, has taken himself out of the running because he's completely caved on the issue of same-sex marriage. He's gone. He's out of here. So I think the field is shrunk by Newt Gingrich. The field for 2016 is shrunk by Paul Ryan, and maybe that's an advantage. It is a fact that income taxes are not going to go up on 98% of the American people, and that's good for those 98% of the American people. Their payroll taxes are going up by 2%. 77% of the American people are going to see a tax hike in their next paycheck. Trust me on this. Take a look at it. You'll see what I'm talking about. But we don't know what would have happened if the Republicans had stuck to their principles. Remember, the House of Representatives had all of the leverage in the world. Everybody's saying they got no leverage. They had all the leverage. Nothing could happen without the House of Representatives agreeing to it. Nothing. Not a dime could be spent. Not a tax could be raised without the consent of the Republican Party in the House. Had all the leverage in the world, did not use it. Back in 5.